right, there we go. Welcome to the Hip Hop Hustle podcast. I'm really excited about my next guest. It is the one and only Omega Red, which I love the name as well. Yeah, the cheers in the background. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And Omega Red, man, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. You've got quite an interesting story to tell. You've got like a history that is outside of hip hop, and then you've also got relations to Donna Summers, the late great, as well. You've been in films, like you've been in Martin Scorsese's Shutter Island, which I absolutely love that movie. So I like just in terms of when I found that out, I was like, oh man, I wonder what it was like to like just be in the background.
I got some stories, man. So yeah.
Yeah. You've also worked with KRS-One, one of the great legends in hip hop as well. So
Yes,
man, absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
I'm honored, man. Thank you for having me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to get, my name back out there. I'm in the forefront of music again. And what a great way to do it in Australia, get that, get my fan base up in Australia.
Well, I'm sure it's weird. Like I think every artist starts to realize that, everyone wants to be a local hero, but then like so many fans globally that like sometimes even I forget that like there are people outside of Australia, and you find the weirdest countries just starting to listen to your stuff. So like does it take you a minute to realize like because I feel like sometimes we're just consumed in our own world that we forget that there are people like literally half a globe away listening?
Well, actually, no, man. Like I've been always like on that international platform ever since I started. I remember I used to get royalty checks from like South Africa. Like my first single was called Soul Clap, and like most of my checks were coming from like South Africa. They were like killing it, that song. So that's what I understood the power of international, being international. Because you only need like 1 million followers to people to follow you, like all around the globe. I'm not talking about just like in one country, but I think you have 1 million followers, people following you. I think you'll be good. You'll have a good fan base. But nowadays you have like really small core fan bases, and you're independent, so that money's like triple when they purchase something, because you don't have to give that money to anybody. That money goes straight into your pocket.
So you were saying you were on like you're coming back in the music industry. Did you take a bit of a break?
I took a little bit of a break. And I got into the music publishing. Actually, I was doing the business, because I started to understand it was a business, and I wanted to understand like how can I make more of this royalties, because I was making some decent money on royalties in my first singles, but I was like, how can I get more of this? And then I've always had an entrepreneur spirit. And I started going to like a lot of the societies, conventions like ASCAP and BMI. I would go to their conventions and just try to make connections with people in the business side of music publishing, because a lot of people didn't understand. I didn't really know what publishing was back then. I heard of it, but I didn't know there was actually publishing for music. So I just, I was studying the business. And once I, landed a couple of co-publishing deals, learned how the system works. And then what I did is I started my own publishing company, which is Stay Grounded Music. And I was teaching younger kids, younger producers and artists, how they can make money in the business without, a lot of them want to get that big hit or that, that big record. And I was like, well, okay, well, while you're doing that, like just do some stuff for TV and film, so you can like just make a living off of your music while you're pursuing those higher goals. So therefore you can just focus on music 100%. It's with, young people, sometimes they want to, they want that, ass money. Well, I can get that in the street, or I can get that. I'm just like, okay, well, that's cool. Like, what I'm saying? But I'm trying to create legacy for you. And a lot of them would hit these walls, and then they would come back like, Rob, you still got that opportunity. I'm like, yeah. And then once they see the opportunity and they see the money start coming in, that's when they realize how, lucrative it can be. And I was like, yeah, see, you wasted like 2 years, you wasted 2 years of being skeptical. Right. And then once they start to realize how much money they can make, then they want to start renegotiating deals with me. So, but I'm here to inspire and teach people, because when I was younger, like the older G's, the OGs, they didn't really teach me anything. They're more like trying to suppress the new wave and the new energy that was coming through. So I always wanted to pass down knowledge to the next generation.
So talk to me about that. like as older artists trying to suppress new artists? Like,
I think a lot of it comes from just artists, like older artists, being a little envious because they don't own a lot of their stuff, their intellectual property, and the younger people do. And the opportunity and the technology is much more advanced. So there's a lot of more avenues that younger people can address. But I'm not saying I'm super old, like I'm not, but like I'm open to learn. Like if I'm teaching someone, I'm learning from, we all can learn from each other. Like I have wisdom, you know what I'm saying? The young kids got that energy and that swag, and the new lingo. So it's like as much as they get from me, I get from them as well. So I share my knowledge, they share their knowledge with me. So I just think a lot of it's just resentment, and a lot of older artists just, they're just upset that they didn't make, better decisions in their career.
It's interesting though, because you would think that they would want to see new artists not make the same mistakes that they did.
You have some of them do, but there's a lot that doesn't.
Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think?
Like I said, like resentment. They just resent the fact that it wasn't them that didn't make wise decisions, and it's just like if you beat your parents, right? Like your parents beat you as a kid, and then you have kids, and then like you're like, well, I used to get beat, so I'm gonna whip my child. You know what I'm saying? But that wasn't a healthy relationship, right? So it's just like sometimes they want to pass down what they learned or what they didn't learn. So I just think it's resentment, and sometimes it just they could just be dream killers. But me personally, I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to be that way when I got old enough to be able to pass down knowledge and game to the young generation. So so that's what I pretty much focus on. I just focus on like the positive side of things. I like breaking generational curses. That's what I'm really about.
Well, I think that's a great outlook to have and a great mindset to have. And it's interesting when you talk about like young people and what they want to be rich and famous for, and like where they want to earn money. It's like, it's weird because I think when we're thinking about how we're going to be successful, we think of like all the lucrative shit. We think of like all the cool stuff. But then there are people who make money in the most random places ever, and they're richer than we'll ever know. But they made a lot of money. And it's like, sometimes you got to look outside of like what your ego's telling you. And sometimes you have to make the right like business decision, if that's what you want to do, the business decision.
Well, it's music. The music industry. There's the music industry, and you got the music business. So it's the music industry is a lot of smoke and mirrors. A lot of people selling their soul for fame. You hear a lot of these situations where people are in deals, and you got the fame, and you got all this going on, but you owe a lot of people money because you sold off your publishing, or you got money lent to you and at a high interest rate. That's pretty much what a label is, So you find that a lot of situations. I just think some people just come from a situation or in their environment where there's like they just want to get out so bad they'll take any type of deal to get them out of their situation. And I'm not going for what they're doing in a situation, but but they have to they just gotta have a little bit more I would say belief in themselves, and just follow the if they truly believe in themselves and want to stay independent, follow that path, right? Because I've been independent my whole career. Like I have not got signed to one label. Did I used to meet with them? Yes. Did they tell me like, oh, my music wasn't popping or this not what they're looking for? Yes, they told me all that before, but that didn't stop me. So they just have to have insane confidence and belief in themselves, and be consistent. And once they do that, it will come to them. It will come to them. But some people are in situations where they just feel like they have to, they got to sell their, they got to sign on a dotted line because they're in a situation where they feel it's urgent that they need to get out of the situation they're in. So, I seen that a lot. And it is what it is. Everyone has choices to make, and some you learn from either you learn or you don't learn. So
yeah, I do find it ethically a little bit corrupt. Like where
yeah.
you put a piece of paper in front of somebody, they are in a bad spot, they're in a tough spot. This is probably money they've never seen in their life,
Right.
like in terms of just the amount that is offered on the table. So
Right.
like you get blinded by the check and you forget
Right.
about everything else. And especially because a lot of people like, don't worry about getting a lawyer. Like we got our studio lawyer. Like, you know what? Like
that's the worst decision you can ever make.
it 100% is. But the thing about being young is like, you don't think about that because you don't
you don't
have the
think about
experience.
you don't think about the end game, and that's the thing. Like the young generation is super smart, but they don't have the experience. Like you can have knowledge, and but wisdom is all about applying the knowledge that you have, right? And they don't have the experience about how to apply that knowledge. So that's where I kind of come in and try to guide them and show them where to go. Because I've made a lot of mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes, but I've learned from those mistakes very quickly, and I just bounce back, right? So once I realized how the business actually works, the music industry, I could care less about what the industry is doing, because I have a lot of friends that are doing extremely well and touring the world, and you don't hear them on radio. But they cultivated their own fan base and their crowd, and that's what you have to do. Like you have to cultivate, your own fan base, your own crowd. And I call them, I call them I call them my super fans. I call them Omega Red super fans.
Well, I think it's cool because like when I think about it, there's like how many people on the planet? There's 1.6 billion in India alone. I think there's like 360 or 380 million in the US. So like, and you said all you need is like 1 million fans globally. So when you think about that's it. That's all you need. So like that is a big number but it's also nothing in comparison to how many potential listeners you have. So it's actually, I think, more achievable than we ever thought. I think you're right. The internet and like technology has made it really achievable.
We're in the digital. I call it the digital dope game. Like we're in the digital era where our reach is very far. It's just it's just having the right team around you, the right marketing team, and the right people to get to find the people who love your music and your niche and what they're doing. So but I have different verticals too. So my situation is a little bit different because I'm actually into business, fintech, and entertainment. So I started to merge the two because a lot of people in the corporate America, they were I told them I did music and I didn't really get in depth about it, but when they start to look me up, they're like, dude, man, what the fuck, man? Like you really are in this shit, man. And I was like, yeah. They're just like, well, what the fuck are you doing here in Buffalo? Like, they just felt like all the stuff I accomplished just thus far, like I shouldn't be living in like a city of Buffalo. And I'm just like, well, why shouldn't I live here? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a great city. I see the benefits of living in a place like Buffalo, but a lot of people who grew up there, they just see it differently because they were born and raised there. Well, I see an opportunity when I moved to Buffalo.
What opportunity did you see?
I understand social economics, so I was able to own a lot of property for cheap because the economy, pretty much recession proof because it's just a low income area. So I was able to out there and purchase real estate. And living in Boston and New York City, like the real estate's crazy, right? So I wanted to go to a place where it was unsaturated, and then I can offer my talents and my gifts to help uplift, people, the community.
Well, clearly it's been paying off. So,
yeah.
I wanted to know because you touched on you going into labels and them telling you it's not popping off and your music's not going the right way, whatever they're saying.
All right.
How did that feel at that time? Because I'm sure you're excited by those meetings, like with the.
Oh yeah, I was definitely excited by those meetings in the beginning, but some of the A&Rs I knew, like I just knew them through like networking. So, I mean, did I believe what they were saying? No, I didn't believe what they were saying because I'm out here real time doing shows and performing, and I see how people respond to my music, right? So it's a machine, right? The labels are pretty much a machine. So it's like I wasn't doing what was the end or part of that wave, right? So if I'm not part of that wave, it's not going to fit, or this is not popping right now. But what I realized, A&Rs, I'm not saying all A&Rs that way, but I noticed a lot of A&Rs, they are not like they're not leaders, right? They're followers. They ride the waves of independent artists or artists who are popping, and then once they reach that peak, that's when they go scoop them up. But the artist already did all the work. So I think what happens is that, you know, because you're so different and this is what's working for everybody right now, this machine, that's what they'll say. It's like, this is not popping because this is what's popping right now. But that's what you want to be, a disruptor. You notice a lot of artists who make it big, astronomically big, they're disruptors, right? And they get to the point where they got their own fan base, everyone's rocking with them, and then that's when they A&R was like, oh, they start to look at the numbers. So it's kind of a numbers game too, you know. So, you know, at that time, I mean, I was buzzing. So, and they just was just like, you know what, this is not it right now. And this is like back in the MySpace days too. Like this is like almost 20 plus years ago. So it wasn't we didn't have like Spotify or, you know, all that stuff, iTunes. I don't even think we had iTunes then. So I
mean,
don't know if I'm dating.
I think like it was the beginning of like iPods,
yeah,
like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm out dating myself, but but I just started really young. Just put it that way. But I think that's just what it is. I just never listened to them, you know. And then you know, then when I started getting like big features and working with big artists, then they would come around like, oh man, I'm sorry, man. That's just what the labels wanted, man. Like, you know, I always believed in you. And I was like, what the fuck, like, you know. So
yeah, I also think it's a negotiation tactic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's them trying to make you feel like you don't provide more value, and then they can get you on a cheaper deal. Like
that too. But I always kind of knew. I kind of always knew my value. But you know, it can be disappointing, and it could be it could you know, it could knock you down for a little bit. But you know, I think everyone goes through that, you know. But I had insane faith and confidence in myself, so I just kept moving forward. And you know, I took a lot of risk early in my career. You know, I took a lot of risk and some of it paid off. You know, I was willing to invest in myself. I was willing to barter. I was willing to travel and do showcases all over the country. And you know, and eventually, you know, things popped off. When I moved to New York City, I met my publicist, and she grew up with Jay-Z, and she was Jay-Z's publicist for about 20 years. And you know, as soon as I met her, man, like my career like took off. Like I had all the connections I needed.
It's interesting when you kind of look back on your journey, because like I kind of alluded to it at the beginning of the show, but like you've been in the military. I also saw that you went to prison, and you're an artist, you're successful, you're buying property. Like it feels like you've been on a huge journey in terms of like all the ups and downs, in terms of if almost anyone could go through. But like, what was the timeline around those different pieces in your life?
Oh man, the timeline. Oof. Yeah, man. I don't know. It's like a lot. You know, I feel like I lived like 7 different lives already, man. But the timeline is like I went in the military very young, 17, right out of high school. My father was just like, you know what? You got 2 choices. You know, get out the house or you go in the military. I suggest that you go in the Air Force. You're smart. You know, so my dad pretty much kicked me out after high school. So I went into the Air Force. So this is like 90s. So I went in the Air Force from 95 to 2000. So while I was in the military, that's why I did a lot of traveling, visited a lot of different countries. And then when I came home, I was still young. I still had that hustle mentality, like street mentality. And that's when I kind of went back in the streets. And then like maybe I would say like 9 or 10 months later, that's when I got locked up for 3.5 years. So that's when I got locked up. So when I got out, that's when I said, you know what, I'm gonna take this music stuff serious. And that's when I like went all in. And I'll say about 6-7 months after that, I got my first single on radio in Boston, Massachusetts. It was called Soul Clap, and Jam 94.5. They played it. I met this DJ, his name DJ Barboza, and he loved the record and blasted me off. I was like the first independent artist they ever played on commercial radio in Boston.
That's awesome. So that period in the military, like, what was it like? because I feel like we hear like about the military, but like about the past 10 years in terms of what the military was like, you know, from 2010 to like 2020, but we don't hear what it was like pre 2020s. Like,
Yeah, so I just missed Desert Storm. I just missed that Desert Storm. So I went in 95. And I was in the Air Force. So it was a little bit different because you know, you have departments that do combat, but I was more of the support. So I did logistics. I was a vehicles operator. So I ran convoys and I would load up C5s and F-14s and stuff like that. And then I would run convoys overseas. And then when I got back to the States, I did protocol. But I mean, I was living my best life, man, in the Air Force. I ain't gonna lie, man. I was living my best life. But what I didn't like is the fact that I was kind of like, I wasn't free to do anything I wanted to do. But I got to travel and I got to see a lot. I learned a lot. I had culture shocks, but I got to learn a lot about culture and learn about like real poverty is, right? Like a third world country poverty. Like I would come back home like this ain't poor. Like I know people that I see people who live in like really bad situations. Like you be grateful. You know what I'm saying? Like because this is you think this is bad, this is not bad. You know.
do you remember where that was?
Oh, where did I see that? In India?
Yeah.
India.
India.
Like this, you got rich and you poor. That's it. Like people don't have toilets. You know, even in Africa, like some areas is just really bad. You know, it's just like ooh, like you know, this is a real ghetto right here. You know.
Yeah. Did you feel like, I'm actually lucky?
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely, definitely felt blessed. You know, being African American and being America, like you know, we go through our struggles, but it's worse in other places. You know, so
Yeah. And then what was it like coming back? Because you were in the military for 5 years, and personally, for 4 years. So you were in the military for 4 years and then the thing that you described is like you're living your best life, but you're not really free to make your own choices. That's the thing
right.
to me that has always been like, I don't think, like, I don't know, you were 17 when you went. So you're a different person. And now as an adult, like it's obviously extremely different, but you get back, I'm assuming you're around 21, 22.
Mm-hmm.
What did you feel like when you left? Like, what was the moment where you're like, all right, I'm done with the military. Now what am I going to do?
Oh, that's what I've said. Like, so you know, I came back when I came back. I was overseas for 2 years. When I came back, I was stationed. I did like I would do like these temporary duty stations it's called TDY. Each 6 months, I would move to a different base in the United States. So I was just, you know, traveling, staying at base to base all through the United States, like East Coast and to like you know, and my last duty station was back home at Hanscom Air Force Base in Boston. And then I think that's when I was home and I started like getting around like some of my old friends and some of the old hustlers, and that's what kind of like dragged me back into that. But I was home for like I was back for like 2.5 years before I got out the military. So I was already acclimated back in, you know, to, you know, American culture, American life, you know, but I just had a lot of experience and I had a lot of knowledge at a young age, but I didn't know how to apply it.
It's interesting.
And I did apply it pretty good, but I applied it the wrong way. You know, I was doing a lot of hustling. So I was like the guy, you know what I'm saying? I was like more of like the brains of operations. You know, I'm like, I'm not gonna be on the streets hustling and, you know, selling street, you know, drugs on the corner, but you know, I'm the distributor though. You know?
Yeah.
So,
you must have felt like you couldn't get caught. You know what I mean?
oh yeah, I thought I was above the law, man. I thought I was, you know, I had my cousins, they would come like, Rob, man, what are you doing, bro? Like, because, you know, I'd be walking around, I'd be driving around with like 100 pound of weed and, you know, just being out of control, man, you know what I'm saying? And money just falling on hand over fist. You know, I was just, I did think at one point I was invincible, you know.
And then, bam,
And then,
yeah.
Well, actually, you know, my situation was, you know, a childhood friend of mine. He ended up like just messing up a lot of money and messing up a lot of things, and he ended up testifying in court, and that's what put me away for 3.5 years.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Betrayal, so.
Yeah, it's rough. It's
It's rough, man.
yeah, I mean, especially people close to you. Like you think
Yeah. Well, it's the ones that are closest to you, man. Like, that will do you in, over jealousy and stuff like that. But that was a lifetime ago, man. Did I forgive him? Yeah, but do I forget? No. But I realized that, God had a purpose for me. So, I even ran into him like maybe like 10 years after that fact. And he was kind of provoking me. He was trying to provoke me to do something, and I was just like saying I had to stop. Like, wait a minute, I got way too much going on for myself, and I'm starting to blow up and do all this stuff. And I was like, you don't got nothing to lose, so I got way more to lose, so I had to start thinking like that, just having more emotional intelligence.
Yeah, and I feel like that provocation is a reflection of like his guilt. You know what I mean? Like he feels guilty. He hasn't seen you in a long time. So he's trying to start something so that he can, I don't know, there's like this weird kind of, if you fight me and you beat me up, that's you getting your revenge. And then I feel less guilty because it's like you got your way back in a weird way.
Well, that too, or he could snitch on me again and put me back in jail. He attacked me. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause he was known for that. He was known for being like a narc or a snitch or something like that. What you say? So I didn't even realize that until like later on. So, but I just know that he was trying to evoke something out of me to pull me back to where he is in the mud. And I like, nah, I'm not gonna do anything. But he did call my cousin and was like, "Oh, I seen Rob, man. You tell him to chill." And then my cousin like, "Rob, though, chill out, man, chill out." I'm like, "What do you want me to do?" I'm like, "What do you mean chill?" Like, I ain't. He was the one popping off, and I say, and don't my cousin. I was like, "Don't you know he put me in that away for 3.5 years, right? Like, you expect me to just walk away and not say nothing?" I walked away, but I definitely said something, but I walked away. I think that was a big step. I think that right there was a big step for me. Like, okay, all right, now I know, that I'm on a different type of path and different journey. What I'm saying? I had to leave the streets alone.
Do you find that you have to give the same advice to young artists that you see that like, stay on the straight and narrow?
I try to, but if I talk to them once, I could usually tell if they're absorbing it or not, because you can see in their eyes. The eyes are the key to your soul. And if they're not trying to hear what you're trying to say, you can see that they have this. First of all, they won't even look you in the eyes when they talk to you. Or I just see this glaze. It's almost like they're possessed by some demonic spirit.
How do you react to like, because obviously you care enough to be like, you experienced it. You're like, I've gone through it. I've seen the route that it can go down. I managed to get out. Not everyone is so lucky, but when you're giving advice and they're not listening, or maybe not even capable of hearing, like,
right.
What is the feeling you have? And then do you still work with them? Do you still keep going?
No. I just walk away. You have to, like, you know what I'm saying? Because their energy can be infectious too. Like, you can just be hanging around with them and they got a whole bunch of shit going on in the streets and you just hanging out with them and someone comes and fuck them up and you catch the crossfire. You know what I'm saying? So nah, like if they're not hearing me, I just walk away. And sometimes you just gotta become polarizing. Like, I like to lead by example too. So if I try to give someone advice, like I'm leading by example. I'm showing you it's working. A lot of people, it's like, show me, right? Show me it works. So I have to do that a lot. I always have to lead by example. And if they want to come along and start to learn, then great. But if not, hey, that's on them. I can't hold people's hands. I can't force people want to be great or want to do better in life. They have to want it. They have to. If not, I'm not going to waste my time.
Yeah, like it's like the saying, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make a drink.
Yep. Just like my song, I got this single called Boss Moves. It talks about all the stuff we're just talking about right now.
Everybody make sure you listen.
Yeah, people say you change when you level up, and it's not you're changing. It's just that you change your mindset because you want better out of life and you want to create generational wealth and you want to take care of your family and friends and people who want to do better in life. And me always being independent, I always making boss move. So that's why that's boss moves.
And you start to realize how important the people around you are.
Oh yeah, it's very important. Yeah, because I mean, I realized that you know, you're the sum of like 5 degrees of people that are around you, right? So it's like I want to become educated in the business. I want to work with these people. I had to put myself in that environment, and I know what success looked like because I've seen it before too. So, I've seen the formula numerous times. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, to be honest with you, sometimes I didn't even apply it because I was somewhere else. But yeah, that's what you got to do. Like you have to, if you want to be successful, if you want to like have positivity around you, you have to engulf yourself around those type of environments and the people, that have the same mindset.
Yeah. I think a lot of people look just within themselves to the change, but you'll often find that if you look at who's around you, that'll be one of the first key pillars to change before you can change yourself.
Oh yeah, definitely. You got to look around. But a lot of people, a lot of people will look around them, but they won't. Like I tell one of my friends all the time, I'm like, bro, just because I'm not around you all the time doesn't mean I don't care about you and want to help you. But sometimes you have to love people from afar too, because they have all these people around them and they're not guiding them the right way. But can you tell them that right now? No, because like they can't see that because it's like I'm like on the outside looking in, they're the inside looking out, right? They see other people around them all the time. So I think a lot of people feed off of people or being around them all the time. Like I don't need someone around me all the time, but but the company I do keep when I'm out, that's very important to me. The people that I'm having conversations with, mindset wise, like a lot of people I do business with, they become friends because we're like-minded. So, and I have friends that I grew up with that aren't doing the things that I'm doing. They're still my friends. Yes. We talk on a day-to-day basis. No, because they're not doing the things that I'm doing. But if I see them, is it love? Or, hey, how you doing? This and that. It's all love, But unfortunately, they're just not in my circle because they're not doing the things that I'm doing. It's really about the mindset.
Yeah, and they also don't really get what you're doing either. Like it's just because like it just becomes a very different life that you start.
Mm-hmm.
Like the similarities become really different, and
Yeah.
I see it amongst some of my friends as well. Is like, oh, I like you, and I remember us as like kids, but like we just don't have the same things in common anymore. The things
Right.
you talk about and the things I talk about are very different. Like
very, very different.
We just don't see eye to eye. Like you've got different priorities, I got different priorities, and we're cool. As you said, like, yeah, we're still cool, we're still friends, but like it's probably why we don't hang out as much.
Well, yeah. That's what happens, It's called the friend gap. Some people just outgrow each other, and it's not a bad thing. It's just the interest change and agendas.
It is interesting to see who's still friends with like all the people they were friends with in high school. Like a lot of people just like that's it. Like they're their friends for life.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much cool with everyone I went to high school with, and I have no issues with a lot of them. But I think a lot of them didn't think I was going to be the person I am today. So when I do see that some people, like I went to like my, 20-year reunion, they may feel a certain way when they see me because they may feel like they're not where they feel they should be at in life. But me, I'm just cool. Like you see me, it's like, I'm the same guy, I never changed, and then, they see that, they seen that, like I'm the same person. But, that's just other people's problems, man. That's not my problem, man. That's something people gotta fix themselves, man.
I did read something interesting the other day. It was like, you'll be surprised at how many people watch from afar.
Oh yeah. I got a lot of ghost followers, when you do something that's very polarizing that they can't deny, that's when they start coming out the woodworks. My mom always told me that. It's like, Rob, once you have something or got a record or you do something undeniable, no one can deny it. You'll see, And I'm starting to see that now, because, a lot of people thought I was like kind of not washed up, but just, gave up the music, but they didn't realize I was behind the scenes doing stuff, doing theme songs for TV and, TV and movie, really getting that bread, what I'm saying? And just studying that because I want all my music now to be cinematic. So whenever I put out a single or put out a video, like the visuals are cinematic, almost movie like short films, but it also pitches it to the TV and films music supervisors, where they're like, oh, this will go great in a movie, right? So, and that's when the big bucks kick in, right? So that's what I've learned, you know.
They got big budgets.
Oh yeah, they have big budgets, man. Oh yeah.
Speaking of movies, we kind of alluded to Shutter Island. We've made, I think, people wait like 40 minutes for us to talk about Shutter Island, Leonardo DiCaprio, Martin Scorsese. How did you get your part in it as an orderly?
All right, so I mean, I play orderly, like not a big, not a big part, but you
get to say you were in a Martin Scorsese movie.
Yeah, I was a principal extra, and like the scene that they shot was like really close. Like Mark Ruffalo and Leonardo was, it was a real close scene. So I had to be there for 2 weeks to shoot that scene over and over again. So Martin Scorsese, he's really tiny, he's really short. I was really surprised how short he was. I was like, oh, he's short. But and he was just like he was really calm and cool and just kind of like, just walking around, and I was just like just standing there and. Hold on a second. Is that cool? That dog's barking I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say if we could get the dog to stop barking, that'd be ideal. I know it's easier said than done.
All right, hold on a second. All right, sorry about that.
All good.
So anyways, so this is what I remember. So all right, so before that, Leo was in his trailer, so we're all the extras are just chilling in this one spot, and I found like a lot of the extra people, they were like trying to like, they thought they were like superstars, right? I'm just like, we're just extras, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just like chilling, just being myself in the corner, and every time they see Leonardo, they were like trying to say stupid stuff to him, and I was just kind of like chilling, like not just kind of staying away from all the people trying to like, showboat or whatever. So Leo would always like say what's up to me, because I guess he just noticed that I was a little different. Like I wasn't really, bought into like the Hollywood stuff. He would just like say, hey, what's up, man? What's good? And then like he liked to smoke Marlboro Lights. So like, we share Marlboro Light and shit and just hit, and then we'll go to his trailer, and then everyone would come up to me like, what did he say? What did he say to you? What did he say to you? And I'm just like, we were just talking, like, it was just having a conversation. And then there was one scene where I guess Marty thought that Leo was overacting. So the assistant director was like, Leo, I think we gotta do a scene over again. Marty he thought she was overreacting. And Marty's like, no, Leo, you did awesome. You did great, Leo. I'm like, damn, I'm like, he's kissing his fucking ass. Like, and that's why I knew like the power of Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm like, Martin Scorsese's like kissing his fucking ass, and that's why I knew the power of Leo. But then he's an amazing actor. Like I seen him go into his like method. He went into like the method acting, and like he had his little cliff notes. And then as soon as the camera was on, man, like he switched it on, man. I was just like, what the fuck? Like I was like, whoa, man, this dude's amazing. Like I actually got to see him like turn into that character like right away, and that's kind of how I got inspired to continue to do TV and film. And shout out to JT Tronius, because he was the one that actually got me to apply for the casting, and they picked me. So I had some accolades, prior, because they were shooting in Boston, and they were like looking for extras. So they wanted to have extra people who actually had some type of social media influence and stuff like that. So I was just I just did it on a whim, man. I didn't think I was going to get it. I didn't think they were going to pick me, but they picked me. I'm like, oh shit, and then I got hit by the acting bug, So that was my first actual like introduction into Hollywood film.
It's so crazy that that's your first introduction.
All right, and I seen like I watched the movie Magic, like they had the screens and the tarps and all that, and then when I actually seen the movie, I'm like, whoa, I'm like, man, like it's crazy, and yeah, so that's my first start.
I've heard stories of like other really like the top actors, like where literally the experience that you had, which was like, holy fuck, they're amazing. Like, it's distractingly so good that you forget you're supposed to not watch and you're supposed to act as well. And you're like, God damn, like that you can all of a sudden you see the gap between like the greatness and the greats, and you see why they're so good. It's almost like athletes in a way. Like, you know, you just get to see what makes them amazing. Like I would be exactly like you. I'd be like just watching, and I'd just literally forget.
Yeah, I mean, I was just watching a lot and observing, and I was just being, I was the type of person, like I observe and watch everything. So a lot of the people that were on set and working, like I would like give them this look, they give me a look, like, yeah, I seen that too, So there's a lot of talking without me saying anything, and I have this energy about me where it kind of stands me out because of it's like a, it's like a non-spoken type of energy. Like, I don't know, they see some type of light in me or something like that, or positivity. So I'm just a positive guy. So I think that's what a lot of people can feel, my like positive energy.
It is interesting though when you talked about Martin Scorsese being scared of Leo.
Oh yeah, that was crazy. Like, he was like literally kissing his butt, and I was just like so shocked. But that's when I respected. Like, I'm like, Leo's the man. Like, he is the man, and I still think Leo's the man. I think he's an amazing actor. So
Yeah, I wonder if because they've done a number of films together, Martin Scorsese and Leo.
yeah.
So it surprises me that was the way he had to go about it. Because like, if you and I had a working relationship, I don't think we'd have to have. I wouldn't have to be like, hey, can you tell him to? And then I'd be like, no, man, that was great. Like, it's weird to me that that's the relationship that you saw.
Yeah, I just think it was one of those moments where like Martin was just didn't want, because I think Leo gave him a look like disapproval, like, what, you didn't like that, like, and he was like, oh, no. So I mean, Leo's the star, right? So you want to make sure Leo is in a good space, right? So I think that's what Marty was trying to do. But when I see it, the way I see it, he was kissing his ass.
How was Mark Ruffalo?
Okay, so Mark, I didn't really talk to him, but I when he was walking on set, he just seemed really irritated. Like, he just seemed very like irritated at the time. Like, he wasn't trying to talk to nobody. I wanted to go up to him, like, hey, can I take a picture? But the way I was like, he just looked really irritated, and I was like, nah, no, I'll leave it alone. So it was like a brief. It was like a brief pass by and watching him, and he looked like he did not want to be bothered.
Well, he's the Hulk after all. So
yeah, I don't even think he was the Hulk then, though. He was in the Hulk then.
Maybe he knew. Hulk. Yeah, he wanted to be the Hulk.
But you know what? Everyone, I mean, we all have our good days and bad days, man. So I'm not gonna judge him based on that. But he just wasn't in a great mood that day.
Which is fair enough, because I mean, we all got shit going on. I feel like
exactly.
That's the hard part being a celebrity, is like, you've got fans who have a relationship with you that I think it's called like parasocial. They've got a relationship with you, but they see you from afar and they watch you and they feel like everything you do is like you're a part of their life. And so you're building up this moment of like, I'm going to come and talk to you, and I finally see you and come and say hello. And you, as the famous person or celebrity or the person they admire, you got shit going on. You had like a fight with your partner, something went wrong with like payment, or like something happened. You're not in the headspace. And then all of a sudden you got this fan who's like, I love you. And you're like, I can't do this right now. Like, I'm not in the headspace to like, I get it, but I'm not in the place to be the person you want me to be.
And I mean, that happened to me with certain musicians, artists that I worked with, that I looked up to. I got disappointed when I met them. So, it happens. I try to always keep good faith when I'm out and about, when I run into people and stuff like that, and people want to talk to me. I just remember those times where, I got disappointed by, some of the artists that I looked up to. So I know how to turn it on. Like, when someone comes up to me and wants to, like, I'll turn it on because they're my fans, and without them, I'm nothing. So.
Yeah, I think I can definitely understand, like, just everyone's in their mood. Like, it's hard to switch it back on, especially like when you're getting like, talked to a lot. Like, if you're Leo, like, it would be crazy. Like, it would be insane.
Yeah, it would be insane. But Leo is kind of cool though. Like, he can give you someone a look like, not right now. Don't approach me right now. People respect that. Like, and I'm kind of that way too. Like, So I see something coming. I'm giving someone a look, and they're like, okay, all right, yeah, it's probably not a good time to like run up to it.
But then you got those people who are like, they don't read it, like they're like,
they're fanatics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that look
so
is like,
you know,
okay.
Yeah, you just gotta do. You just, I mean, at that point, you know what you signed up for. So you know, like I'm okay with not being like super famous. Like I want to still be able to walk around the streets. But I like to be like, you know, you got that pyramid, right? The industry, right? Like I don't need to be up here. I could be like right here in the middle somewhere. I'm
like
cool with that.
You want to be like recognized, but you still want to be able to live your life.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Because I like I said, I've seen fame and success at a high level. I know what it looks like. I've seen a lot of examples. I grew up in a very influential city where you got a lot of great actors and musicians. I have a lot of people in my family that do music, TV, film. I know what it looks like. You know, it gets real crazy. You know, so I'm okay. Like I'm okay with being like semi-famous. you know.
It's funny that when I talk to my, because I think I'd like a little bit of fame. I think my ego would enjoy it, and I know that's not good for me, but like I think it'd help everybody.
Need ego though, bro. Need ego. Need ego. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of people know that you don't know, right? So like I said, there's artists that I know that I worked with, and there's a lot of people that don't know who they are, but they're in their world, they're famous.
Yeah, well, I definitely know I'm not, but the one thing that I would never want to be.
We're gonna get you there, bro. We're gonna get you there.
Yeah, we're one day at a time. I think I worry more about like do your things well, and everything else will come. Like you just gotta. What I would never want to be is like those shitty kind of real life. What is it? TV. What's it called?
Reality TV.
Reality TV. Those people, to me, is the lowest form of fame. It's like, and each to their own. Like some people love it. Fair enough. It's just not for me. Like, because to me, it's just like yeah. I don't know. I can't even.
What are you famous for? Like, what are you famous for? Right.
Well, they're all just shit shows. It's all just drama. It's all fake. It's all written by everybody else. Like, it's not reality TV because
So I agree with you, but it's entertainment. People are watching it, right? And they play a lot of my music on those reality shows, so I'm all for it.
Hey, I never said the music was bad.
You know what I'm saying? So, I have a lot of placements on the reality shows. Like I have huge placements on the Kardashian show. Like I mean, they're one of the supporters. They play a lot. So I do a lot of musical beds. A lot of my producers produce the beats and stuff like that, and it's called musical beds. And a lot of our music's on all those reality shows. So
check the credits.
I don't need to check the credits. I get my ASCAP report, and it shows me everything.
But will your music be in the credits anyway?
No, because the music supervisors they pick the music, and you just get the money. You just get the money after the season's over. And so when I look at my ASCAP report, it shows me everything that's been placed. Every TV station, every show shows me everything. But for something big for instance, I did like the theme song, the Black Lightning, right? The DC comic book hero, black guy shoots out lightning. Like I was on the soundtrack, so
with The Rock?
No. This is Black Lightning. That you're talking about Black Adam.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right. So Black Lightning is a DC comic book hero, and he can produce lightning. So I did the theme song to that. So the premiere of that show, they played my song for the commercial for the commercial premiere for the show, and then they put me on the soundtrack. So stuff like that, like with me on it, yeah, I'll get like notoriety on credits and stuff like that. But a lot of the stuff we do is like it's under the radar, and we're getting paid crazy amount of money for doing musical beds. We just see the reports in our ASCAP or BMI report, and how much money we made off of those TV shows.
So how do you get into that world? Like,
like I told you, I went to the ASCAP conventions and I started talking to the publishers, and that's why I started my own publishing company, because I realized, oh, this is lucrative. Like, I need to show other young producers and artists that they can make money in this, because once I started getting checks, a couple of deals I was doing, I said, oh man, okay, let me, how can I make more money as well? So basically they taught me, and then I started my own thing, and then I taught other people. And then some people, some younger people now that are older, they're like, yo, I'm about to do the same thing you did for me. I'm like, that's great. That's what I was supposed to do. You're supposed to learn from me and, bring the next generation of people in.
Yeah, it's so cool. Cause like even before this conversation, I completely forgot that there was music in movies and TV. Like I know it, you know what I mean? Like I know there is, but I never considered like how it happens or how you get placements.
So it's a music supervisor, and what the deal's called a sync deal. It's a synchronization licensing deal. So that's pretty much what it is. And a lot of people, a lot of artists don't realize how lucrative it can be. A lot of it, they want instant gratification. They're not in for the long game. And but as you get older, you learn. Some don't. That's on them. So
yeah. How was it being with KRS-One? Because like
it was great. It was great. So KRS-One, he was very influential, like me growing up, and we actually did a session in New Jersey, and I just kind of told him my life story and what I was doing, and all the different things that I got going on. And one thing though I have to give to him, he did tell me, like, he's like, this was gonna make you different, man, because I'm a sax. I played saxophone, so I'm a musician. I grew up playing saxophone in elementary school, junior high school, did a marching band. It's like, this is going to make you stand out, man. Just keep playing that saxophone, implement your saxophone into your raps and all that stuff. And at that time I was like really big on the underground and wanted to like, spit those bars and, not use a lot of my musicality, just do like boom bap beats. But he was right about that. Like, what I'm saying? Like I needed to embrace all my gifts and my talents to bring to hip hop culture. Once I started doing that, man, things started to really change for me. But the record we did together was called Hip Hop Party. He did a really great job on it, laid me a monster verse, and that kind of solidified me, when it came to like, being a rapper, having, KRS-One co-sign me.
Yeah, I feel like he's one of those people where he would live up to the expectation of like, because he also is one of those people, especially in hip hop, of like his name precedes him. Like he is so many artists. He is like, this figure in hip hop, like iconic in hip hop.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, but he did teach me a lesson about business. So, before we got up to the hotel, his manager Mondo came down, was like, all right, do you guys have the money? Because, of course, we were going to pay him for his verse. And we're like, yeah, we got the money. He's like, okay, I see the money. So we gave him the money. And then he's like, all right, come on, let's go upstairs. So we went upstairs and everything was cool, But then later on, when I wanted to like shoot the video and, wanted to get clearance for the record, like that was a whole nother situation going on. So I learned from that, like there's no contract. You just gave him the money. He laid the verse down. So I couldn't get clearance and I couldn't get a lot of things, but I got the notoriety and I got put on mixtapes, but I couldn't sell the record. You know what I'm saying? Like anytime I try to put it up, like it would be blocked. You know what I'm saying? Like they would take it down. So I learned my lesson about that. Like any type of collaboration or deal I did after that, there was a contract and there was terms of giving people cash. Like, you have to promote it. You have to get, I have to own the rights to the verse. It's work for hire. Stuff like that. So, I mean, I learned a lesson. I mean, it was great. I got the experience. I got to hang out with KRS-One. He taught me a lot, but I definitely taught me a lesson when it came to like features, with other artists, getting features from them.
Because I was speaking to, I forget the artist's name, and he was like, the thing about that whole scenario is if they're signed to a label, the artist may not necessarily even be the one making the choice about whether it gets, promoted. That might be the label going,
yeah, but they're taking your money. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, they're taking your money, of course. But then obviously the label's always like, well, we haven't seen return on my money yet. So like,
yeah, that too. But the thing is, like, okay, yeah, KRS-One takes my money, but did he tell the label he took $5,000 from me? Probably not. So, I don't know. but that I'm just telling you, I'm just giving you some game, man.
I appreciate it. I think this stuff needs to be talked about. Like,
yeah.
Let's be honest. If you made a mistake, others are making the same mistake, whether it's with him or anybody else.
Right. I mean, it's still happening. Like, it's still happening. I talk to a lot of young artists now, and I'm like, oh, I got this person. I'm like, did you get clearance? Like, is he gonna promote it? Is he gonna, like, what's going on? Like, and they're like, oh, I don't know. Like, then, they just figure it out. Like, they're a little skeptical at first when I tell them stuff like that, but they can do research, or actions speak louder than words, right? So I sit back and I just watch and see how things roll out, and I don't know. Some people just when they learn something, when they take an L, some people just can't bounce back from the L, from the loss, But for me, it's just a learning. I learn, and it's like a stepping stone for me. When I learn to take a loss, it just gives me another learning lesson, but I take another step up from that. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do next time. I'm gonna make sure this is not gonna happen, and I continue to move forward, continue to move forward.
Yeah, and to be fair, like 5-10 grand, yes, it's expensive, but at the same time, it's not the biggest loss you can have. And it's I think it's perspective. And I think, as you said, it's important if this is your dream and this is something you're committed to, mistakes are always going to happen.
Right.
Like, that's part of learning.
It was a $5,000 lesson.
Yeah. But you also got to hang out with KRS-One. You got to have his wisdom. You got to speak to him. You got to see his process. So it might be a $5,000 lesson, but like you still got return on what you spent at some point. So like there's
I'm always going to get it. First of all, I'm always going to get a return on anything I do. so
it was a lesson, but you still got return. So like it just, the return wasn't the way you thought it would come.
Correct.
I think that's the way you got to look at it. Like, I think that's what fucks a lot of people up, is like they have a preconceived notion of like a plan, and they're going to do this, and this, and then this. But it's like, this doesn't happen, and then you're all fucked up because it didn't work the way you thought. But I think we just got to be recognizing that like plans are all good, but you got to be able to adapt.
You got to be able to adapt. You got to be able to like take things on the chin. You got to have the same confidence and faith in yourself. And you got to stay prayed up, or whatever energy or whatever it is that energy or whatever you believe in this universe. You know what I'm saying? You have to harness that and bend it to your will. Like I believe in universal energy and karma. I believe in having your chakras in line. I believe in all that stuff. I believe in higher powers. I don't know what those higher powers are, but whatever it is, I like to bend it and use it for my will. Manifestation as well. Like, I've seen a lot of things that I've done, or I thought it came in mind, and it manifests to life. So I know it can be done because I've done it before. So, I'll take lessons, right? And I just apply it for the next move that I need to make, and just make sure those things don't happen again. I mean, we all make mistakes, and we learn from each other. And I think that's a constant thing in humanity, to be honest with you.
Well, I think manifestation is one of the most powerful things that we can do. I mean, you hear it about athletes all the time. They have been visualizing that last moment for a lifetime. Ever since they were kids, they've been visualizing the success of that last moment, making that final shot on the buzzer, making that final kick. And there comes a point in their life where they are that person and they succeed. But when they talk about it, they're like, I visualized that moment since I was 8. It happened 10 years later.
Yeah, I used to have I used to have dreams of me being in front of like a massive crowd performing, and it's a wild thing, man, when that finally happens, It's wild, man. Like, wow, this is actually happening. And but after a while, like, it becomes clockwork, So it's just, just knowing the formula. And just staying consistent, and learning. You got to be a constant learner in life and music. Like, if once you think you know everything and you don't, and it's a wrap for you.
I think it's just giving yourself the power, to believe that you can do it. And I think a lot of people, they want to believe, but then they doubt themselves, and then the visualization doesn't work. Like, really commit.
Right. And then you got, and it could be another thing too. You could be a lot of people around you telling you you're not gonna make it, or you're not. It's out of reach. I mean, just for me starting my own business, like actually starting my own business, and I was part of different organizations, and I was telling my goals, and they're like, "Oh, you're very ambitious," like like kind of like saying like I'm dreaming way too big, and it's just like, no, motherfucker, I'm not. It's just because you can't see it, don't mean it can't be done. And I think that's what happens with a lot of people. Like they can't see themselves in those situations. That's why it doesn't come to fruition.
I think it's funny because I had a similar conversation with one of my friends, and he's ambitious, and it's like I said to him, like, a lot of people think that I work really hard and I'm really ambitious, but then I look at you and I think you take it to the next level. And so to me, it's like, to them, I'm really ambitious. And in my mind, I got other people that I know that are more ambitious and take more risks and go further than I do. And it's like, it's all about levels. And I think what makes you succeed is like, you always just want to continue to upgrade. And I think there's always those people who like will look up and go, "Hey, you're doing so much shit," and then you look internally and you're like, "I still got more to do."
Yeah, that's how I am. That's how I am right now. I call it growing pains. Like right now, I'm scaling my business. Right now, I'm doing. I run my own credit card processing company, right? So, it's time for me to scale up. I'm getting a lot of business. Things are going, but I feel like my messaging is not really correct. How I get a lot of referrals because I built a network where people will just refer business to me because they worked with me in a prior, or they still work with me, or clients that are still my clients. They work with, I work with them, and they think I'm solid, so they refer a lot of business to me. But I'm trying to get money off of the internet, like people who just go onto my site and just want to like sign up with me right away. So that's my objective. So I'm in a growing part right now. So I have to scale up if I want to get to the next level, right? So that's what I'm doing right now. Is it going to be a little painful? Yeah, but I believe in what my product is and what I'm selling and what I'm doing for people. So it's going to be worth it because I'm investing in myself, but I'm also investing in the people who believe in me as well as a payment processor.
I sometimes feel like people forget the cost of like what it is to run your own business.
Oh man, it's the margins are very thin.
Well, I think also the risk, the effort, like, because I think a lot of people see the end result of like, oh, you've got a successful business, right?
Yes, the iceberg theory.
Yeah, but they don't see the shit. They don't see all the things, all the risks, all the moments you thought it wouldn't make it, all the moments where it's like this really fine line between staying open and being closed. Like these are all the things that everyone forgets. And then you see the success and it's like, well, damn, give me a piece too. And it's like, you didn't do anything to earn it.
Like, yeah, there's a lot of that going on too, but you know what? I just tax people who want to come and get on board. It's just like, now you got to pay a tax to get, a fair tax to get on the ride. So I just tax them for not believing, like you didn't believe it. All right, I'm taxing you. You want to work with me now? Okay, I'm taxing you. Okay, you want to be part of this? Okay, I'm taxing you. So I'm just like, I just try to be, I'm a walking monetization guy. Like anything, any connections, I'm not giving anyone any of my connections anymore for free because I worked hard, right? 20 plus years building all my connections, all the people I know. Like I put in that work and I sacrificed, right? There were times when I was in LA, like working on music, and I had no more money. I had to like sneak back in a hotel where I was, I rented the hotel and just get one more night, so it's like I took a lot of risks, and a lot of that, but that's how much I believed in myself, but I just had to take more calculated risks now.
Well, it's clearly working, and I always appreciate artists coming on my show. Omega Red, obviously. I do have one more question for you. It is the only question that I plan on the podcast. It might be the hardest question that I've asked, and we've touched on some pretty deep topics, but if you had to recommend one album that everybody should listen to at least once to get an appreciation of? It doesn't have to be the best album of all time. I'm just saying for you that everyone should appreciate. Can be any genre, cannot be your own music. What would it be?
Can it be my music?
Nah, can't be yours.
All right. That's interesting, man, because I have a wide palette of artists that I like. You know what? Redman, There Is a Dark Side.
Redman. Why Redman?
One of my all-time favorite artists, and like he got me through a lot, you know what I'm saying, through high school. Yeah, so I would say Redman, There's a Dark Side. That was one of his craziest albums. I feel like it was the most he's such a creative artist anyway, you know. So I think that'll be it. There's a Dark Side.
Well, I love it. And you've obviously got the Wu-Tang connection as well, because you're wearing the Wu-Tang hat. So I absolutely love that. Subconsciously, it was somewhere in that realm it was going to happen. But obviously, Omega Red.
Wu-Tang taught me how to rap, man. Like one of my best friends from the military, he grew up on Park Hill, 180 Park Hill. So I used to go to a lot of Park Hill days. I went on tour with Capadonna for a little bit. So Wu-Tang kind of gave me my skills. But yeah, just a little tidbit.
Yeah, always throwing the little bit at the end, like, oh yeah, Wu-Tang taught me how to rap. I think they taught a lot of people how to rap, but man, touring with Capadonna. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Touring with Capadonna would have been sick.
Yeah, it was sick, man. Look it up, man. There's a couple clips with us. It's pretty dope.
I definitely will have to. As I said, Omega Red popped through. Make sure you check him out. Make sure you support him. You can go to his website as well. You can support his businesses. He just dropped a couple of singles as well, Sticks and Stones, as well as Home Sweet Home, which they both came out this year. And also feel free to check out Shutter Island as well. You might see him as an orderly in there, just if you want to see more of him. But
there's another one though. It's called Highway 420. That was more recent, like I would say in the last 7 years. But Eddie Griffin, Gary Owens, Devin the Dude, Lil Duval. Yeah, that's pretty. So that I have a good scene in there. So I played a DJ in a strip club at Magic City in Atlanta. So that's pretty cool. It's called Highway 420.
There you go. And also, I did find your track with KRS-One on SoundCloud as well. So you can find the Hip Hop Party on SoundCloud. But man, is there anything else you wanted to plug or anything else you wanted to shout out?
Yeah, just follow me on my Instagram. It's called my Instagram handle is Omega Red Superfan. That's Omega SUPAFAN. And just go on my website and you can like connect with me, download my music, subscribe to my email list so I can keep you up to date with all my concerts, dates, and the things I got going on. So it's OmegaRedSuperfan.com.
There you go. Make sure you check it out.